Hi, Houston. I'm meteorologist Kim Castro. We made it to Friday. That means we've got the weekend to look forward to. So I'm going to start you off with my very own stride guide. I started doing these a few weeks ago now. Yeah, a few weeks ago to help you out on what to plan for as you get up early, both your Saturdays and your Sundays. I know the weather is really crucial for the success of our runs. So what are we going to be experiencing this weekend? Both Saturday and Sunday are pretty much the same. So temperatures are going to be in the upper 70s. There's going to be some humidity out there, so it's actually going to feel like the low 80s. Technically, this is a little less hot than it was last weekend. However, last weekend we had cloud cover, and that helps quite a bit. This time around, we have a clear sky. So once the sun comes up, sunrise is 7:04. Remember, it keeps getting a little bit later and later this time of year as we transition from summer to fall. But once it does come up right around 7:04, you're going to get hit with that beating sun. So it is going to be really, really toasty. Most people get out there, around what, 5:30 or 6:30. Hopefully you don't have too many miles and you can be wrapped up around maybe hopefully 7:30. So you'll just be out in the sunshine for about 30 minutes or so. Luckily, you don't have to worry about checking radar for any rain or any possibility of lightning. We're clear on that front. Here's a look at Galveston. Beautiful afternoon. Different than what we were tracking yesterday. We had quite a bit of cloud cover. It was a little stormy looking for the island, and that's because there were a couple of coastal showers fueled by the stationary front that was along the Gulf Coast. That's not going to be an issue for us today. The probability of rain today, less than 10%. I mean, the only reason why I would even mention it is because there's quite a bit of humidity. There's a ton of it in the atmosphere. So because of that, I can't rule out the possibility of an isolated stray shower in the afternoon hours once that sea breeze starts pushing in here. For that reason, you might encounter a few raindrops on the windshield, and that's it. 89 degrees right now at IAH, so exactly the same temperature that we were at yesterday. Dew points are in the upper 60s, so we do have to factor in the heat index. So what it actually feels like on your skin is 93. That's because the breeze is out of the Gulf, it's out of the southeast. It's at 11 miles an hour right now. Dew points have come down just a little bit. So we're in the 70s yesterday. It was feeling really tropical. Now we're in the 60s. It's going to stay that way tomorrow. I think we have more humidity on Sunday, back up to that tropical feel, and then pretty steady humidity, not too bad as we go into the coming week, but it is definitely there and it is definitely noticeable. So let's have a comparison side by side with temperature and feels like in a couple more spots, shall we? 90 degrees, Hobby Airport, it feels like 95. In Sugar Land, 88 feels like 94. So you could basically tack on about 5 or so degrees to the air temperature for what your body actually experiences. And the way heat index works is, okay, say you're in a hot, dry climate. Well, your body tries to cool itself off, especially it tries to protect the core organs. So in order to do that, it sweats. And the sweat evaporates off your skin, and that's a way that your body is able to cool off a little bit. Now, under a humid climate like Houston, well, same mechanisms. Body's trying to protect the core, so it expels some of the heat to the extremities. It starts sweating. Unfortunately, if you've got moisture on your skin and there's moisture in the air, there's no evaporation that's going on. There's just moisture everywhere. And so your body isn't able to cool off as efficiently. And so that's why heat index is something that we definitely monitor pretty carefully here in Houston. We're not under any threshold where we would have a heat advisory or anything like that. That starts at a heat index of 108. I think today's max heat index gets probably to around 103. 95, that's going to be your actual air temperature for today. That's going to be felt right at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Under the clear skies, it's going to be a nice quiet evening. Though I will mention, if you've already felt a little something in your throat, this might not be the cleanest air to breathe. And the reason being is when you have clear skies, the sun interacts with the ground pollutants and creates a little bit more ozone. So Harris, Brazoria, and Galveston typically see that happening, and we have a good chance for that this afternoon. Okay, this afternoon, I also want to tell you about what I'm tracking in the Atlantic Basin. So the National Hurricane Center is keeping an eye on this cluster of storms that's just now coming off the west coast of Africa. They're thinking that this could develop over the next few days slowly, and maybe not do a whole lot from there. So check out the latest model runs. This is our vorticity tracker, so it takes a look at the storm's organization, so the rotational component of the storm, and also tracks the intensity. So like I said, it's got some bright reds, so the potential of a little organization, some intensity by the middle of the coming week, so that's Wednesday. It could definitely become a depression. Now, look at what happens moving forward as I continue the clock into the end of the week. So the weekend, not this one, but the following, we're looking at September 21st. Well, that's not a ton of excitement there. The colors really start to fade, and that means the potential for organization kind of diminishes, which would be great. I would also like to see this take a northerly turn instead of continuing to push west. But we have a long time to watch it, about 2 weeks. So just monitor it with me, get your updates each and every day, as you should, because remember, we've just barely hit the peak of hurricane season, and historically speaking, we do see quite a bit of activity on this back half, September and October. September, temperature-wise, at least through the 22nd, it looks like we are going to be tracking above average temperatures almost everywhere. So if you're trying to plan a trip to get away from the heat, well, there are definitely spots that are cooler than Houston, but all in all, everybody's going to be trending a little bit warmer than their average for this time of year. And of course, that extends down to Southeast Texas. Because we are going to be continuing to see this heat dome effect, I think September is going to wind up being a hotter than average month all around. So far, we're pretty split. We had 4 days below average, 1 normal, and 6 above. Well, that's because we had that stretch. Remember, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday were really, really nice days. We had the drop in humidity, the drop in temperatures. Unfortunately, that was an anomaly, a false fall, as we like to call it, because summer is just not quite done with us just yet. High pressure is going to settle in. That does, like I said, kick up temperatures. Now, as that high pressure ridge starts sliding a little bit further towards the east, on the back end, we get that wraparound Gulf moisture. So not only heat, but definitely some humidity along with that. The benefit of having high pressure around, first of all, it's a blocking system, so it keeps things away from the area that it's situated on top of, which is us, and it suppresses the potential for rain. So looking at the rain outlook, you'll notice a good likelihood of seeing above average rain for the central part of the country. So from the Dakotas down to Nebraska, you could see a little above average rainfall for the desert Southwest. But for us, I think we're going to be seeing a pretty dry forecast, dry in terms of no rain, but like I said, pretty humid. Okay. All together for the next 7 days. So we'll take it one chunk at a time. Mid-90s today through the weekend. That 10%, I'm just inclined to want to take it off, to be honest. I don't think you're going to see much of anything on radar. Then as we go into the coming week, it's the same pattern. So at least the forecast is consistent. You can plan with that. Lows are going to be in the low 70s. Look out for this coming Wednesday. That's going to be the hottest day of the 7-day, with temperatures only dipping down to the mid 70s for a morning low and the high getting into the upper 90s. 20% chance for an isolated shower by that point. All right, our next newscast is with meteorologist Chris Ramirez. He'll be sure to update you on any new developments in the tropics. And then our chief meteorologist David Paul is with you tonight. Catch that newscast with him at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. Have a very happy Friday, Houston.